It's been 30 years. 30 years of Formula One coming to Spain, in the Catalunya province, to run the Spanish Grand Prix. And ever since the very first year here, it's been a very, very impressive history that we've seen here. From the legendary duels between Schumacher, Nigel Mansell, and Ayrton Senna in 1991, Nigel Mansell's masterclass with the Williams in 1992, to the 2001 event, where Mickey Hakkinen had victory snatched from him at the last possible moment. In 2008, where the Ferraris ended up overpowering the McLarens in the first laps. To 2012, where Williams had their last-ditch grasp at a victory and stole it from the jaws of the legendary Fernando Alonso. Even in 2016, where the two dominant Mercedes took each other out to lead way for the youngest winner in Formula One history, Catalunya has had it all. Today, the drivers of XRL X3 will be tackling this famous circuit, a circuit known for its Formula One racing, motorbike racing, DTM, GT, endurance racing, and more. This is XRL X3, and I hope you're going to stay with us for the majority of the day today, because we're going to be looking at a very, very interesting and intense race from some of the most impressive and exciting drivers around the globe. Qualifying 1 is just about to get underway. Catalunya has been on the Formula One circuit since 1991, and like we said in the opening, it has always been one of the most impressive circuits on the calendar, even though it has developed a little bit of a reputation of being a train race where not a whole lot of overtaking happens. This circuit is actually one of the few that has been able to stay on the schedule for so many years with very, very minimal changes. There have only been 4 reconfigurations to this track that has happened since its initial opening in 1991, most of them being very, very small configurations that in the end ended up taking a little bit of speed out of the circuit, changing it from a medium-fast circuit to more of a medium-slow kind of circuit. However, the overtaking opportunities are still there. There are still 2 very significant straightaways, including the one on the front straightaway, famous from 1991, when Nigel Mansell in the Red 5 pulled alongside Senna's Marlboro McLaren Honda down the front straightaway, and in the wet, Mansell was able to overtake him. We might be able to see something similar to that today. There may be a threat of rain in the area, and our first cars are now coming out onto the track. We have WCD Huber 14 and the Haas machine out there already circling, and he is just a little bit behind XRL Stumpy, who is running around in the Williams. We also have Careless Jackson of No, he's out there on the circuit right now, and already everyone's out there getting their tires warmed up real quickly here, trying to get everything ready to get their runs going here at Q1. Riding on board here with Careless Jackson as he goes through that final little chicane. He will be the first driver to come across the start-finish line, and when he does, we're going to go quiet for just a little bit so you can hear what it's like on board around Catalunya. And there you are. Careless Jackson goes to the top of the snow with a 119.115. The question is, will he be able to hold on to that for very long? And no, XRL Cargo has now taken the top spot in the Alfa Romeo 1:16.753. So he is now about 1.5 seconds now ahead of Schold, who is in the other Renault right now. So as everyone is currently running around and saying their lap times, we're now up to 6 drivers. Flying Wallaby has now joined his Alfa Romeo partner at the top, and now XRL Iridisa, who put on a masterclass but still had a podium snapped away from him last week at Zandvoort, has now gone to the top, and now he's been overtaken by Sasha Andre 02. Sasha has broken the 116 barrier. We're still extremely early on. We might be able to see times as low as 114 or less. Everyone is currently running the soft tire compounds right now. This circuit isn't nearly as tight or as cramped as Zandvoort or Monaco is, so running soft tires may actually be a decent idea. You're only probably going to have to give up 1 or 2 laps overall. And here we are now with almost the entire field out on the circuit. Okay, for some reason, Stumpy, and I believe that's Retro Hazel who's behind him, both seem to pull off for a moment. I'm trying to see if there's anything up with those cars. Hazel, who has already set a lap time, is extremely slow right now at one of the faster sections of the infield, of course, a semi-blind corner. He is starting to get underway again now, but it seems like, even though this is a much, much larger track than Zandvoort, Monaco, it looks like traffic is starting to play a little bit of a havoc here amongst drivers trying to put down clean lap times. Right now, 13 drivers have put down their lap times, with only one of them breaking the 116 barrier. That is Sasha Andre 02. As we continue to ride on board with Hazel right now, he rounds the final 4 corners at the moment. This right here used to go out a little bit straighter and then be a nice high-speed corner. That got reprofiled back in the mid-2000s into the chicanes that we see today. It was an attempt to reduce the corner speeds in the final corner because the amount of runoff there was not deemed to be enough to be safe for the speeds that they were hitting. The speeds that they get on the front straightaway, though, 328 kilometers an hour is what I saw there for a brief moment. Oh, wow, Hazel really pushing it right there. Almost got the car sideways coming out of turn 2 there. He is putting the power back down. The entire first third of the circuit, where he is right now, this has been pretty much the exact same since the initial opening of Catalunya in 1991. This is kind of a little bit of a throwback to the old days of Formula 1 circuit building. Here he is. He's coming up now on one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Turbo he's about to come up on. XRL has now set down a lap time of 1:19.058, and Carlos Jackson's 1:19.115 lap time has been thoroughly demolished. He is now 14th slowest of the 14 drivers who have set lap times thus far. Hazel has overtaken that Ferrari without too much of an issue, but it looks like it's going to pull over, so that lap is not going to be improved. That would not be a valid lap. Here's XRL Snake. He's another driver who's out there on the circuit. He has yet to actually get a clean lap on yet. Electrofrizz has not left the pits yet, and neither has XRL Gazilio. Then you also have Retroxy, which is in the other pink Forsen Racing Point Mercedes-powered machine. He is currently on his outlap as he's coming around the final 2 corners at the moment as well. Now, a lot of the drivers have already jumped into the pits. They're updating their data. They're swapping on the new tires. We'll probably see a little bit lower lap time shortly here. But the big question right now is, what can Cookie and Jackson do? Cookie is at 1:19.058 and Jackson is 1:19.115. Those are the 2 drivers who need to figure out a way to improve their lap times, because if one of these 4 guys, Gazilio, Retro, Fritz, or Steak, ends up putting some good times on, those 2 could get knocked out of Q1, and they will not go into Q2. Here's XRL Snake now. Oh, okay, actually Retro's ahead of Snake. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up the order, here's XRL Stumpy in the Williams. He's going to go ahead and come into pit. Is that Hazel? Yeah, that's Hazel. Here's Hazel, and he's going to be pitting also. So, who is it that's going to... Here's XRL Whippy. He has already set a lap time of 1:17.570. This is his out lap right now, so he's trying to maximize at the moment. for a better lap time. Here comes Retro. He's coming around the final 3 quarters right now. He's going to enter that really tight left-right chicane. I think almost everyone I know absolutely hates that chicane. It's impossible to really do anything with it. But here he comes. Retro's going to come down the line. The DRS is open. He shoots up into the end of the gear. And his time is on the board. No, it is not. Retro did not time that lap. So that's going to be a little bit frustrating. XRL Turbo he has gone up to 118.599. And now Cookie and Jackson are both on the outside looking in. And Retro needs to find some way to get a clean lap in. Electrofritz is finally on his out lap. It's taken him the better part of 10 minutes, but he's finally on his out lap. He's coming by now. So he will be getting his full stop officially now. As he is dueling down the straightaway here. Now the driver he was overtaking will pull over. So now the AlphaTauri number 34 is going to have a little bit of clean track ahead of him for a while. There is a slow car there entering sector 2. I believe that is Snake. Went ahead and pulled off of it. So one of the Ferraris squeeze on by. 8 minutes left in the session right now. And here comes Retro, 19th, and Hazel has retired from the session. He is 5th on the timesheets with a 1:16.697. Hasn't gone a whole lot more than that, but with 7.5 minutes left. I'm not saying that's a good time to retire, but it might have been a little bit earlier than anticipated. His teammate Retro comes across the line, but it's only a 1:22.208. Retro needs to find a lot of extra time fast. He's still 3 seconds off of Cookie, and he's not even close to that barrier between 15th and 16th that Turbo and Fratters are guarding at the moment. XRL Gazilio is finally coming out of the pit lane. He is going to make an attempt, but it's going to be coming very late here. And now we have a new person, Electrofritz, who has gone up. He has jumped up into the 13th spot in the timesheet with a 1:17.997. He's just 8 thousandths off of XRL Jono. As it stands right now, they both make it. Gazilio is going to be the big question, along with Retro. Can Retro take more time off, and can Gazilio put down a clean lap? We have less than 7 minutes left in the session right now. On board we're following Retro here now. Going through the 3rd sector. There seems to be a slow car back there in Sector 1. One of the McLarens have pulled over for a brief second. I believe that's Jono. Snake and Whippy have both retired from the session. They believe that their lap times are good enough. They do not want to burn down all their excessive tires. And there is a little bit of drizzle actually forming on the track here that's really keeping lap times down. It's not that it's completely ruining the entire track, but it's definitely harming their ability to put the power down. You can barely see a little bit of drizzle while we're riding on board with Retro. He has now gone 14th on the timesheet, 1:18.063. So Scholl and Careless Jackson, who put up time really early in the session, have now dropped to 15th and 16th. And Jackson, who's the first driver to put a lap time up, may end up not making it into Q2 unless he's able to get out there and make some improvements. This is Electrofritz. He's going to go ahead and pull in. He's currently 13th on the timesheets. Oh, and that was Scholl. Something has happened to Scholl. He has gone around there on the extension section. Now, he is not in the way of anybody else at the moment, thankfully. That section that he was on used to be where the track would extend out to back between 1991 and 1994. That has been that section of the track does still exist, but it's not really used very often in favor of the more straighter and longer back straightaway instead. But here's Scholl, who had something happen to him, got him nice and sideways back there. Meanwhile, here is XRL Gazilio. He needs to put down a lap time, and he needs to do it now. There are less than 5 minutes in the section, and when he does it, he needs to put something better than a 1:18.325. And he's not saying the lap time. He is coming back into the pits. There is 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in the section, and he is coming back into the pits. And it looks like the rain might be picking up just a little bit here. People may be jumping in to try and throw on the wet tire compounds, hoping that running wets will improve their ability. XRL Dusty has retired from the session as well now, so more and more drivers are retiring very early from this section. I believe more than anything else, they don't want to end up damaging the cars, and they don't want to end up running the risk of damaging their tires. So as we continue the wet qualifying here in X3, riding on board with WCD Huber 14. He is 11 on the timesheets right now, 117.788. He is on the outlap. He is trying to see if he can improve. At least it appears that he's trying to improve. But he is not going to. He is going to abort and will come into the pits. You can see the rear of the car stepping out just a little bit here. Now one of the Renaults are going by the line, and that is Careless Jackson. He is out on the outside looking in right now, 118.429. He needs to take off about a tenth of a second and a little bit more. And XRL Turbo has retired from the session. He has admitted that he's not going to be able to get that Ferrari into the top 15. So another very rough qualifying time for the Ferraris, as XRL Cookie is another one who has yet to be able to go up any higher. Now here we are with Careless Jackson as he's riding the corners right now. He's entered the second sector of the racetrack right now, and XRL Cookie has also retired from the session. It seems like a lot of drivers are voluntarily dropping out here. They are willing to take the bad starting spot if it means that they aren't running the risk of spinning out and damaging their car or holding up someone else's lap here. DRS is open as Careless Jackson goes down the back straightaway. And now he starts jumping down the gears all the way from 8th down to 2nd, puts the power down, the rear of the car nice and controlled there for a moment. Fratters is on another outlap. There's only 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the session. Jackson, Fratters, and to Electric Zilio all need to do something, and do something fast if they even want to attempt to try and get back in the top 15. Jackson needs to overtake his teammate Scholl, and he's going to abort. Jackson is going to abort his lap, so he is going to only be 17th unless they can do something real quickly here. The rain seems to be picking up just slightly, and it's enough that's keeping the drivers from out here from improving on their lap times. This may have been a situation where the best time to set laps was relatively early. Not right at the start, obviously, but relatively early in the session. Sasha Andre's time of 1:15.915 has not even come close to being touched yet. XRL Bond and XRL Iridisa are both up there in the general vicinity, but I do mean general vicinity. Mon is still the better part of 3/10 off of Andre's time, and Iridisa is about another 25 hundredths off of his teammate Mon's time. Here comes the AlphaTauri of Fratters. He is on his outlap, but is he going to abort? It says that every single lap is slower, and he seems to have made a little bit of a mistake there. But he's going to stay out. He will stay out another lap. Will he be able to improve on his time of a 1:18.647? XRL Jono has retired from the session. Scholl is out there. He is 15th on the timesheets right now. He wants to see if he can improve, so that way, if Fratters ends up saying that better time, he doesn't get knocked out of Q2. He has passed the DRS detection zone now and down this fast, blind 90-degree corner. He's going to open up the DRS down the straight. No, he is not. No DRS enabled. More than likely, it's because DRS enabling has been taken away because of the wet track. They do not want to run the risk of the drivers losing control of their cars here, and that in itself is going to make it extremely hard to actually improve on the lap times here. So Scholl is going to abort again also, and now the question is Fratters. I believe that's Retro, who is also still on the track. He has a 1:18.063. He is the driver that Fratters is trying to overtake, and there it is! Fratters is going to loop it, coming out of that little chicane. Now he's going to try and get it around very carefully as Retro is going to go by now, and Retro is going to go ahead and enter the pits. Fratters is also going to come into the pits. Gazilio is not looking to come out, so this means that everyone is now in the pits. The qualifying session is over. So this is it. Qualifying is over. Gazilio never got a chance to go a lap down. Fratters had an outside chance of maybe improving, but he spun it coming out of the second to last corner, and when he looped it, ended up destroying that lap time. He came in, salvaged the tire, salvaged the car, but Turbo, Jackson, Fratters, Cookie, and Gazilio all will not make it in to Q2. because of rain. Rain showed up on the radar. It was here, and it didn't really hurt the drivers right at the very start of the session. But as the session went on longer and longer, the rain started picking up more and more. DRS was taken away, and the drivers who set fast lap times in the first 6 or 7 minutes ended up being the drivers who are around on the top of the field. As we see, everyone else is beginning to retire from the session. So Q1, very dramatic, not in the sense of drivers constantly trying to keep and to improve their lap times against each other, but more dramatic in the sense that we had multiple drivers trying to make something happen when they had no DRS and they were running soft tire compounds on a slightly damp track. That's really not an ideal situation here. I do not blame the stewards for taking away DRS ability, although personally, if I was a driver, I'd rather have it and, at least try to do something. So Q1 has now come to a close. We are looking at Sasha Andre, XRL Mon, XRL Iridisa, XRL Snake, Hazel in the top 5, XRL Cargo, Flying Wallaby 19, XRL Whippy, and XRL Stumpy, and XRL Gusty is 6th through 10th. WCD Huber is 11th with XRL Jono, Electra Fritz ES, and Retrixie in 11th through 14th, and Scholl is going to be the last driver to make it into Q2, he is 15th. The spread of times, though, very, very wide from 1st to 15th, but most of that wide spread actually comes at the very top of the grid. We only have 3 drivers who have lap times better than 1:16.69. And those are Sasha Andre 02, XRL Mon, and XRL Iridisa. If you took those 3 out, the spread between 15th and 4th is actually relatively close, as Iridisa has now officially left the session as well. So rain at Catalunya, coming and wreaking havoc. And unlike the days of Nigel Mansell's master classes in 1991 and 1992, we do not have active suspension. We have much, much larger cars. They're very, very intricately set up in a way that even cars of that day weren't quite yet. And because of that, all these expensive machines trying to go out there and do things in less than ideal circumstances, we only have these drivers here who are going to move on. Both Williams are going to move on. Only one of the Renaults are going to move on. Both McLarens will move on. Both Racing Points will move on. Both Alfa Romeos will move on. Whippy, who has yet to actually earn points this season, will move on into the next round. Haas's both cars will make it, and Valtteri will also make it in. Neither of the Ferraris make it in. Only one of the Renaults make it in. So a very, very, very rough qualifying session for several drivers here. Now the hope is going to be that the track will be a little bit drier. And no, it looks like the rain is still out on the circuit here at Catalunya. So going into Q2, it's still going to be wet weather qualifying here. So there will be no DRS open, I believe, going down the straightaways. And we'll do the same thing we did prior lap, although now with the rain being a little bit more intense than it was at the start of Q1, we're going to go and make sure that we ride on board with one of the drivers for a full lap around here so you can see and understand what it's like. Here's Hazel, who's already out there on the already coming out onto the circuit. He'll be the first driver out onto the track. It looks like XRL Cargo was allowed to come up into Q2. I'll get back to you on that. I thought Cargo retired, but he was only something like 17th on the timesheets. Sasha Andre, who put down, oh wow, look at Hazel there as the rain is pelting down. the crazy thing is, all these drivers seem to still think that the best thing to do is to run. Oh, there we are. We have one driver who is out there on different tire compounds. This is Schold, and he is out there on the green sidewall intermediates. So these tires are set up for a damp racetrack like we have now. Schold might be able to put down a good lap time early on here, and we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. I believe one of the Williams cars went off. It may have been mine. But this will be interesting because Schold is out here running a bit better tire compound compared to everyone else. He might end up setting the benchmark early on here in this session, like his teammate did in Session 1. Granted, that benchmark got shattered pretty quickly, but still, the Renault machine's trying to make something happen here at Catalunya, as we see one of the Williams go ahead and pull off the circuit, so that way the Renault can move through unhampered. And Snake and that is, who's Sasha Andre? Because Hazel's already coming to the pits. I imagine he's going to be swapping to those intermediate tires. Sasha Andre is still on the track though, on the mediums, and he is actually going to try and make this an actual lap. Going to be very interesting to see what he can do. The track is gradually getting wetter and wetter, and here he is out here on medium tire compounds, where Hazel's already moved over to the intermediates, and Schold is also on the intermediates. This will be very interesting to see what he can do. Sasha put down the fastest lap time in Q1. And there we are. Snake goes to the top, 126. 126.728. That's a 128. 128.728 actually for Snake. So Sasha Andre, if he's careful, he might be able to improve very easily on that lap time. He's really pedaling the throttle very delicately, coming out of that final little bit of chicane. And no, it's only a 129.214. The lap times have fallen off massively. And now Flying Wallaby has gone out to 127.200. XRL Gusty is out there with 126.811. It's taken them a little bit of time to start putting down their lap time, but they're there now. Here is Schold. He is on the intermediate tire compounds. What is his lap time going to be? And he is aborting. He is going to come into the pits. So it seems like the track is not dry enough to be really comfortable with the soft and medium tire compounds. You can see how far off the lap times are compared to prior one, but we also have it not wet enough for the intermediate, so we're stuck in that really awkward scenario here. And XRL Iridisa now is going to go off, and here's Electric Fritz. He has gone off the circuit for some reason. Now he is starting to get back underway. He is one of the drivers who are on the medium tire compounds, and now XRL Cargo has gone ahead and swapped to what appears to be intermediate compounds also. Right on board now with XRL Mon. He's one of the few drivers who have set lap times down with medium compounds. And there's another yellow flag in Sector 1. It's already been taken care of. And that is Flying Wallaby, who is now... No, that's not Flying Wallaby. Is that Cargo? Yes, that is XRL Cargo. And I'm sorry for saying that was the Ferrari earlier. That is the Alfa Romeo. A little bit messed up for me. But here is XRL Cargo and the Alfa Romeo. Right now, the Alfa Romeo team is second in the manufacturer's team points, and Cargo wants to see if he can capitalize on maybe using an alternate tire strat to get a good start here at Catalunya, as rain is very plainly becoming a big thing here that everyone is talking about. Oh, and that's one of the Williams cars. I believe that was Stumpy. Yes, that was Stumpy who went around back there, and he's been hit! He's been hit! I believe that was Retro. That was Retro who hit him. And Retro gets right into the back of Stumpy. Stumpy is able to get back around and was at one of the fastest blind corners corners of the circuit. Stumpy had looped it a little bit ago, and just as he got around and started putting the power down, Retro ended up running right into the back of him. Stumpy's front wing is very badly damaged here right now, and there's another car that's in trouble, and that's XRL Jono. He has gone off the circuit just a little bit ahead of Stumpy now, as things are happening all over the circuit. The rain is becoming more and more intense, and there's another car off, apparently, and that is WCD Huber. He is stuck in the barrier. He's got the power down. He's going to start coming out now, and we're suddenly seeing all sorts of drivers having trouble. We may not even see a full 10 cars make it into Q1 because there are so many things happening right now. Drivers are struggling to just put a good lap time down. Intermediate tires have now gone up to being the second best tire compound right now in terms of time. That's XRL Gusty was 126.811. XRL Iridisa still has the best time right now, 126.454, as this wet circuit continues to hammer and confuse the drivers and the teams here at Catalunya. XRL Whippy has retired from the session. He did not even get a chance to start a lap. He retired in the medium compound tires, so I believe that means he's going to get a chance. He will have the choice to decide what tire compound he wants to start the next race on. 9 drivers have put their lap times down, but the spread is wild. Right now, XRL Dono has a 154.334 for his best lap time right now, and he's still 9th on the circuit. Now he's coming around. He's going to try and improve on that lap time here. And now XRL Cargo has finally set a lap time in those intermediate tires, 127.811. So he has improved and jumped all the way into 6th at the moment. Snake appears to be coming back on the circuit, but here's XRL Yono. He's on the medium tire compound. He's rounding the final corner here. What is his lap time going to be? Is he going to be able to improve? Yes, a significant improvement of 130.520, but he's still on the outside looking in. He's only 11th at the moment. And Hazel has improved on his lap time. He overtakes Cargo, 127.415. Stumpy has gone ahead and elected to switch onto the soft tire compounds. Scholl is out there. He's on the intermediates. He switched to the intermediates relatively early in the stage, but did not get a chance to actually put a lap time down. Maybe this will be his chance here. Here we are, rounding that little chicane, steps the car a little bit wide. You need to be very careful. We've seen guys spin out there as XRL Iridisa, who's at the top of the 126.454, he's retired. Scholl gets across the line, 129.690. So congratulations to Scholl. He is now, for the moment, in the top 10. Stumpy has yet to come out into the circuit. Electrofritz is out there. He also is on the intermediate tire compounds. And we're seeing a very, very wide spread of tires being used. I think the only things we're not seeing are full wets and hards. And you can see the rear end of that AlphaTauri stepping out there. He's got the power down as he's through the DRS detection zone. Now DRS is open this time, so it looks like some of these drivers are going to go ahead and utilize DRS on the straight, so it's really, really iffy if DRS is or isn't going to be there. Because we saw earlier in Q1, DRS was taken away from some of the drivers late in the stage, but now, as we were following Electrofritz here, as he's trying to set down his first lap, he has DRS back, despite the fact that it's a relatively wet racetrack. Sector 1 and Sector 3 have yellow flags at the moment, but I believe they're both going to clear up relatively shortly. Electrofritz is going to come around that final corner, and yellow flags in every sector. But Electrofritz will cross the line with a 130.304. So he has the time, but he's still well off of WCD Huber's 14, 129.298. And now you have XRL Stumpy. He is the last driver who still has a chance to try and do something. He's on the soft tire compounds, so the rain is starting to get even heavier now. I think this is the heaviest we've seen the rain thus far. And you can see the rear of that car trying to step out on him. Oh, be careful with it through here, mate. You do not want to be too aggressive on the power. He's going to try and cut it real nicely, and the car steps out. He fights with the nose of the car, but he's able to keep it straight. But that's going to really, really hurt the speed that he's going to have at the start of this lap. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. spread right now between 10th and 11th. The gap is about 4/10 between Schold and Huber. Now Schold is in the pits. Electra Fritz, however, is still out there on the intermediate tires. He might be able to find a way to improve. He has improved in Sector 2 by 1.928 seconds, but will he be able to make that stick? Because the third sector is very, very technical and slow. You do not want to be too aggressive while putting the throttle down here. Oh, be careful over those curbs, Fritz. Plants the car on the curve, nice and smooth, putting the power down, and now entering the final corner. He's going to come down the line. Will Fritz improve on his lap time? Yes, he does. He goes up to 10th, 128.871. So now Huber is on the outside, looking in. Here is XRL Stumpy. He is trying to make something work in those soft tire compounds. The top 2 times on the track right now between Iridisa and Gusty are 126.454 and 126.811. Those are made with soft tire compounds, but the track is wetter now than it was then. Can Stumpy make something happen in a masterclass in this William? He's coming through the 4th to last corner and coming down to the chicane. You can see the rear of that car spinning and skidding all over the place. He's got to be really aggressive as the nose steps out on him. Coming out now into the final corner. The power is down. DRS is going to be opened up, and at the line, Stumpy goes up to 8th in the soft tire compounds, 128.503. Everyone has now set their lap times. Retro is right on that border of being bumped. Electra Fritz is on the track, 128.871. He needs to find a way to improve if he wants to make it in to Q3. WCD Huber is back out there on the outlap, but he's only going to have 1 lap. And with this track getting wetter and wetter, he needs to be perfect. Schold is also on the outlap. He's on the medium compounds, and he also needs to improve his lap time. Jono is still out there. He's right in the softs as well at 135.20. He is the most desperate need of improvement. Now, he did take 5/10 off in that first sector. He's going through the second sector right now. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Here's Electra Fritz, and he has abandoned his lap time. So Fritz, by abandoning his lap time, more than likely will not get a chance to attempt back for the top 10 spots. Anyways, back with XRL Jono. He has Schold behind him at the moment. Schold has dropped off just a little bit. Jono has clean track ahead of him. Assuming nothing goes wrong, he might be able to do it. We saw Stumpy go ahead and jump to the top 10 with the soft tires. Will Jono be able to do it now? His teammate XRL Snake is on his own outlap, and he's trying to improve also with the 128.728. Jono at the line. Big improvement by Jono, 127.454, and those were some relatively well-worn soft tire compounds, so he's going to jump up into the 7th position. Snake is now on the borderline, and Retro is trying to make something happen now. As he's going through his final 2 corners, he is on the outside looking in the intermediates. He is still on his outlap, but he got a very, very good exit here. The DRS is open. He's going to be in a good position here. Jono has pulled over to enable Schold to get his chance. So Schold and Retro are the true drivers we're looking at right now. Flying Wallaby has made another improvement in his lap time. In the mediums, he's at 127.018. The intermediates seem to be falling off. The only intermediate tire compound currently in the top 10 is XRL Cargo in 8th. Everyone else is still running dry tire compounds. It seems to be right on that bubble right now. At any moment, the balance can shift from being the intermediate tire compounds being preferred or the softer medium tire compounds being preferred. Sasha Andre has retired from the session. He dominated in session 1. He's only going to be 5th in session 2. And Hassel has also decided to drop out of the session. Here comes Schold. He's going to be running around these corners. He's a little bit wide through there. Oh, I'm actually destroying my voice here. This is somehow getting me more excited than both races did last week. And I loved both of the races last week that I did, X2 and X3. But I'm actually really, really hyped by this. This is ridiculous. This is just qualifying. But it's qualifying in the wet as Schold gets to cross the line. He is not going to make it. The time is up. Over. Plow. Here comes Retro. He's got the power down. Coming to the final corner. Will Retro be able to crack back into the top 10? Yes, he does! Retro is going to jump back in the top 10. He will drop XRL Snake out of it. No, he doesn't. Snake also gets back into it. So Snake and Retro both make it. And Stumpy's decision to retire early in the session is going to end up hurting him significantly. He will get knocked at the last moment by Snake and Retro out of the top 10. Oh, wow. This is nuts. So intermediate tire compounds got used pretty heavily in this section, but it didn't matter because you can see here the vast majority of drivers in the end had to go with either soft or medium compounds. Softs are blatantly faster, but despite being faster, it seems like the operating window under these circumstances are extremely narrow for them, and it's hard to actually make something work for them. Excuse me. I'm getting so excited my entire body is rebelling against me. The big disappointment though, XRL Whippy, he qualified for Q2, but he did not get to set a single lap before he had to retire. Absolute travesty for him, and a very, very chaotic Q2 is the story here. And we're going to be looking at XRL Iridisa, XRL Gusty, Flying Wallaby 19, XRL Mon, Sasha Andre 02, Hazel, XRL Jono, XRL Snake, Retro, and XRL Cargo. And Jay and Snake has just hit the back. We just saw it right here, folks. As Snake has now hit Retro in the back 3 times here. Post-qualifying, I'm not 100% sure if that's the AI who has taken over, but that will be damage to both of those cars. I'm going to have to hope they get those repaired and allowed to get those repaired in time for the start of the next session. This has been really nutty, and even after qualifying has ended, we're seeing stupid, crazy shit happen here. So this is it. So Alfa Romeo and Mercedes and McLaren keep all of their cars in it. Only one Williams continues. Only one Haas continues. This is definitely one of the crazier qualifying sessions I've seen in a long time in the sport. I'm not going to say it's the craziest, but it's definitely one of the crazier ones for sure. It looks like the rain has let up just a little bit here. It's still sprinkling a bit, but it seems to be a little bit less extreme than it was earlier. Only 10 cars will be on this track for Q3. Sasha Andre, Hazel, Iridisa, Gusty, Retro, XRL Mon, Snake, Kyono, Flying Wallaby, and XRL Cargo. And there we are, the 2 McLarens of Snake and Jono coming out at the same time. And Gusty, and the only Haas that's made it up thus far, it looks like he's going to be the first person to try and set a lap time. And that's also Flying Wallaby, who is out there on the circuit as well. Now he's going to be joined very shortly by XRL Cargo, who has now merged onto the racetrack. Then it looks like that's XRL Mon. He is now about to come out. He's got some... Everyone's relatively spread out outside of the 2 McLarens. Right on board, XRL Jono here. Jono and Snake reign relatively close to each other for the moment. They might want to see if they can let Snake open up a little bit of a gap so these 2 can have clean lap times here. The 2 pink Force India racing points of Retro and Hazel are now out onto the circuit. And now the question is, when is Iridisa going to come out? The answer to that is now. And then you also have Sasha Andre, who has yet to come onto the circuit. But the first guy who's going to cross the line is going to be XRL Gusty. The track is significantly drier now in this section than it was in any of the prior ones. clouds are still thick and heavy in the air, and I would not be surprised if it ends up getting nice and wet again. However, if it stays dry, then we're going to have a situation where, although it's a relatively short window, the track will gradually be getting drier and faster as the session goes on, and maybe more important to drivers to go ahead and try to set lap times very late in the session. Gusty had a relatively good Sector 1 here. You hear those tires squealing just a little bit, not really liking the load that are being put on them. A little bit wide there, DRS is going to open up on the straight. And there is a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that's either for Wallaby or Cargo. And yes, that is Flying Wallaby. That car is coming to a complete stop now. He's opened it back up here. And here's Gusty. Gusty catches one of the Williams, and that's going to be a mess. Sasha Andre was right there, and Gusty ended up catching him. I think Gusty might have damage to that car. If they would give us a better camera view, it would help a lot. And Sasha Andre is still out there around the circuit, but Gusty had to abandon his lap time early, so Snake is now going to be the one to go on the top for the moment, 117.817. And now Cargo goes to the top, 117.276. His teammate Flying Wallaby is going to be next across the line, but it is not a good lap. XRL Mon now at the top, 116.610. Track is definitely dried out. We are seeing more realistic lap times now. Well, realistic compared to what the cars can actually do here. Here's Retro. He's coming out of the final corner. Power down. And the Racing Point car goes to third, 117.337. His teammate Hassel is going to go by and beat even him. He'll go to a 116.982. Now the question is Irandisa. He's coming down to the start-finish line now. And his lap goes to second, 116.626. Now he's going to start cooling that down. He's not going to go pushing it hard again for this lap. I can't figure out who that was slow back there. Was that Sasha? No, because here comes Sasha now. Sasha coming out of the final corner. DRS is open. He sets the time, 121.234. It's not a good time. Snake goes up to 116.979 ahead of Hassel. Gusty and Dono have yet to set their laps. Here comes Flying Wallaby, DRS open, and it's still not a clean lap. So that's another lap with a 116.8. That would have been enough to get him into third, but it was not a valid lap. He's going to have to stay out there again if he wants to make something happen. Gusty is now on his out lap. He's going to be out there with a vengeance after him and Sasha Andre made contact at the very last sector of the track. XRL Dono, who was out there early with his teammate Snake, went ahead and pitted. He has not set a lap time yet, so 3 drivers have yet to set lap times now. As the 2 Force India's Racing Points have come back into the pits here. And it looks like Iridisa will probably be coming in very shortly here as well. As we can see, his team has come out. This is XRL Gusty. He is out there. He is trying to make something happen. Here's Flying Wallaby as well, trying to make something happen. It says that Wallaby has another really bad lap going. I don't know if this one's going to be official or not either. Jono is now beginning his out lap as XRL Snake has gone ahead and ducked into the pits. And yes, Flying Wallaby will report the lap was no good. Here comes Gusty. He's going to come across the line. And now he will begin the second attempt. This time, there is no one around him. He should not have to worry about hitting another car unless something really crazy happens to XRL Dono here, who's already deep into Sector 2. XRL Mon, who has the fastest time thus far at the 116.610, is out there. He's taking a gamble that the track is getting faster and there's not going to be another spurt of rain left late in the session. He wants to see if he can better his time right now. This is XRL Jonas. He's entering the final sector of the circuit here. He is still on his out lap. This will not be enough for him. This is the real driver we're paying attention to. It's XRL Dusty. He had a relatively decent lap going there, but it got destroyed after he made contact with Sasha Andre. It's hurt both of them. Sasha has yet to put a lap time down better than 121 when everyone else is running 117.3s or better. Coming down to the final corner now. Power down. Yellow flag out in sector 3. He doesn't care. Dusty will not have that lap down. That was a 119. That would have been good enough for at least 7. As he's going to overtake Sasha Andre. Sasha is exiting the pits. He still has clean track ahead of him. If he can keep this clean and green, he might be able to get up there and actually put his respectable lap time down. Sasha Andre is behind him by a little bit. You can just barely see him ahead. Good first sector for XRL Gusty. Here comes XRL Dodo. He's going to come by the line. He will put down his lap time. He's with his teammate on the sheet. 116.951. Now here comes XRL Iridisa. It's still his out lap though. And here's Snake. He's also on his out lap. XRL Cargo's coming around on his own out lap as well. So the question now is XRL Gusty. Coming out of that final corner. DRS open across the line. And he goes to third. He's going to split right into the gap between the McLarens and Mercedes. Third, 116.664 for XRL Dusty. Oh, and he spun it! He put down a flying lap and then went right around there in the sector. He is completely off the circuit there. In the gravel trap, he's gonna loop it back around. He needs to start getting going relatively fast here, but that was a good lap time. Hopefully it doesn't get deleted for that. He went well off the racing point. No, not racing, but well off the racing circuit. Here comes Hazel, meanwhile, back there in 6th. He's got DRS open, but it will not be an improvement for his lap time. XRL Cargo and Flying Wallaby are out there trying to improve their laps. There's about 2 minutes left in this session right now. Here is Jono, who has pulled well off the circuit. I wonder what happened to him. But he is well off the circuit. He is going to crawl that car into the pit lane as his teammate XRL Snake is going to stay out there for another lap to see if he can improve on his time. And he will! He will jump over Dusty. So Snake goes back to third, 116.6. Cargo out north of 116.114. Incredible, but no one is in the zip code of the Mercedes. And I take that back. Here is Sasha Andre. That contact earlier is not going to hold him up. 115.490. So the Mercedes-powered engines are in a league of their own, and then you have the 2 cars of Retro and Hazel who have yet to put down comparable lap times, and then there's still Flying Wallaby who still hasn't put down a lap time, and there's only a minute and a quarter left in this session. You better hope this is his lap time. He's only going to have one more shot if he can't do it this time around. Out of the final corner, at the line, Flying Wallaby 19. He's going to jump in the 5th with his teammate Cargo, 116.317. His teammate XRL Cargo is coming up on the circuit in the Alfa Romeo. And he made a mistake. I don't know what happened there, but he's made a mistake and has ended up in the infield grass. I wonder if he put the power down and spun it around. The camera did not get a good angle of it whatsoever. And he's going to be so slow, it's going to ruin any chance of him improving on his times. Jono has retired from the session. Snake is out there. He wants to see if he can better the time just a little bit more here. Right on board with Retro here. Q3 is over. This is everyone's final lap. Will they be able to improve? Retro is only 10th right now. He's behind the fastest car on the track this far. Sasha, Andre, both of them trying desperately to improve their lap time. Sasha to ensure a pole. Retro to try and get better than 10th in the starting spots. Hazel goes up to 6th on the timesheet, 116.5. TRS is open for Retro, and he shuts that thing back down into Sector 3 here. Sasha pulls open a nice gap for that little bit, and Sasha at the line does not improve on his lap time. Retro does. Retro goes up to 9th, 116.781. And now what about Snake? He's going to jump into the pits. Flying Wallaby is still out on the circuit, but he has finished his times. In fact, I believe everyone who is on the track has now finished, so the order you see now is the final order that we're going to have for today's race. So it's going to be Sasha Andre, who smashed the field in Q1, ended up falling well off in the wet Q2, but as the track dried up in Q3, Sasha went right to the top despite contact with XRL Gusty. I imagine Gusty will not be happy with him. Those two find each other, will probably be a little bit of no love lost happening there. The Mercedes, XRL Mon and XRL Iridisa, will take 2nd and 3rd on the timesheets. So Mercedes-powered engines, 1, 2, 3, but for the first time in a while, it's not going to be Mercedes power holding the front row in the sense of the team. It's just going to be a Mercedes engine. Only one Williams made it to Q1, but it was the one, Q3, but it was the one who got them the pole. Alfa Romeo also starts side by side, 4th and, well, not side by side, but next to each other, 4th and 5th. The racing points end up getting split by one of the McLaren and the Haas of Gusty. Jono ended up retiring relatively early from the session. Didn't turn out to be the best thing. He ended up being 10th, about 2/10 off of Retro's time. And the soft tire compounds ended up being the ideal one at the end. And now, it's going to be a little bit of a wait until we get to the race itself. The question is, will rain fall and upset the race itself? Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be looking at an interesting race. Q2 was in the Q1, and to a much, much larger extent, Q2. We're both hampered by instance in the rain, which is going to really alter the way the back of the field is set. But the fastest cream of the crop absolutely did rise to the top. We're going to have some very interesting starting tire strategies here in today's Spanish Grand Prix race. Sasha Andre and XRL Mon are both running the medium tire compounds on the front row, but XRL Iridisa is going to start the day in the sauce, and alongside of him, XRL Cargo, really unique strategy. He's going to be beginning on the hard tire compounds, while Flying Wallaby, Hazel, and Snake will all be starting on mediums. Dusty and Jono will both be running soft tire compounds, with Stumpy, Electrofritz, and WCD Huber back to the mediums. Schuld will be the other driver on track, running the hard tire compounds, one of only two of them. Then you will have everyone else from Retro, Whippy, Turbo, Jackson, Fratters, Cookie, and Gazilio all running mediums. So it's a very divided group when it comes to what comes down to what tire compound it is, but it seems like mediums are the starting tire compound of choice for today. And here are your lap times. Oh, okay, it's not going to show us the lap times for qualifying curses. Anyways, as the field is beginning to all get readied up here, we're going to have 20 drivers for a very interesting, at least I anticipate will be an interesting day here at Circuit de Catalunya. Right now the track is dry, but the clouds are still nice and heavy. So here's your leader, Sasha Andre, and he's going to be starting on the front row with XRL Mon. Now the big thing is, Mon is going to have the inside line, I believe. So if Mon gets a good start and Sasha does not, there might be another scenario like what we saw last week at Zandvoort, where the second place guy is able to get the lead just off the back of having a better initial start of the event. Real disappointment though here is XRL Desilio. Although he ended up saying kind of a time at the end, it was not even close to being good. And here's the other one, Whippy, because of the rapidly changing weather conditions in Q2, he was not able to better any sort of starting position. He was not able to get any starting position better than 15th. This is Careless Jackson. He went out there and was the very first person to put down lap times in Q1, and that is XRL Mon has been disqualified from the session. I don't know what happened there, but it seems like something has gone wrong for him. And now I'm starting to wonder if they may have to restart, because whatever happened was definitely bizarre. Our second place driver gets DQ'd. A very bizarre scenario here, to say the least. And I have to wonder if they're going to restart or if they're just going to go ahead with one less driver. Mon is on that Mercedes team. He's already on the grid. This game's weird sometimes. And yeah, it appears that we're going to go underway. And it's lights out and away we go here. And look at that, already one of the Force Indias bring two tires onto the track there. But it looks like Sasha Andre is going to lose to XRL Iridisa, or no, he's not. Iridisa's going to fight back. It's going to be neck and neck for these first several corners. And it's going to be Iridisa at the top. And now here comes Flying Wallaby. Wallaby wants to make something happen as well. And something has happened to Jono. He has looped in the back there. The wing is damaged on that car. But at the front, it's Iridisa ahead of Sasha Andre. The pole position did not end up being the ideal starting spot for him in the end. And again, Hazel ends up getting run a little bit wide off the circuit, puts two tires into the dirt, and he's got an angry XRL Dustin right behind him. to Gusty. It looks like it's just trying to stop the bleeding right now. It's a little bit farther back. Cargo is fighting with Retro, and he is going to make that overtake work. So it looks like in the end, it looks like they let XRL on and Iridisa start. So I'm not sure what was with that whole DQ thing because he was still on the grid. That's weird, but anyways, we have now completed our first lap, and XRL Iridisa will home as the fastest lap time of 7.75. That time will rapidly drop because he now has air ahead of him, and the starting lap will be an actual full pace lap as XRL Dono has gone ahead and he has to pit for damage. So Fratters has fallen all the way back to 19th. Will stay out for a little bit longer here. He's going to move up into, it says he's 19th, but I think he's actually going to be 18th. For some reason it thinks that XRL Dono is the leader. That is not the case. It's actually XRL Iridisa. So this is on board, well not on board, but following XRL Iridisa here. Sasha Andri a little bit farther back, trying to see if he can make anything happen, or attempt to make something happen, and something has happened to Desilio. That Red Bull has gone off the circuit and has damaged his front wing, so Desilio is probably going to have to pit to get that repaired. The front wings are so important for these Formula 1 cars. If you damage them, you're going to significantly alter the way the air flows around the car. It's going to make it extremely hard for you to maximize your tire grip on the front, and it can alter the way the air goes over the back of the car as well. Every little bit. And there he is, he's into the dirt as well. You can see right there, just losing a small part of his wings. Really hurt that car. DRS has been enabled, meanwhile. And he's going to stay out another lap. So Desilio may not be aware that his wing is damaged. He's going to stay out another lap. It's definitely interesting. A little bit farther back, Stumpy is trying to make something happen with Huber. Huber has crawled his way up in the pit in that Haas machine. And now Stumpy ends up going wide through the dirt. That might mean that Cargo will be able to make something happen, but Cargo is in his own little battle with Retro, and XRL Mod does not have a good start. Because one all the way back to 10th is back there trying to figure out a way through this mad pack of cars. Snake has actually gotten by Stumpy. He wants to see if he can make something happen to Huber, but Huber is actually pulling up a little bit of a gap there. The DRS is open on the back straightaway for the first time, but none of these cars are close enough to make anything happen this time around. Retro pulls up right to the back of XRL Cargo. A little freight train here, almost a truly train, with Gusty being the one holding everyone up for the moment. And Stumpy gets to the dirt back there, but nothing happens yet. Fratters gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings apparently, and now DRS opens up on the front straightaway. I thought it was on the front straightaway. But again, no one is close enough except a little bit farther back. There goes Mon. He's going to fight and he's going to push Retro off the circuit. Mon is going to overtake Retro. And now Mon is starting his slow charge back to the front of the field, similar to what Iridisa had to do last week at Zandvoort. Desilio and Fritz have both gone ahead and pitted. Mon has caught XRL Stumpy. He's going to make him dive to the inside. It's a very difficult section of the circuit to make it happen at, but he made it stick. He made it work. Congratulations to XRL Mon. And now Cargo is going to be the next one in his line of sight, but just a little bit ahead of him, Snake is looking at WCD Huber back there. Huber's going to open up a little bit, and something has happened to XRL Whippy. And that car is completely destroyed on the front end. You can see the entire front destroyed. It looks like he put the power down, the car stepped out from him, and the car went right in the outside wall. And Whippy's no good, very bad, horrible season continues with another DNF here at Catalunya and another day of earning no points. And that will be a virtual safety car for the entire field. Iridisa has gone ahead, and he has decided to make his pit stop under this virtual safety car. It's absolutely terrible for the Red Bull drivers, especially Whippy. Nothing seems to have been going right for Whippy this entire season. Iridisa, he will come out of the pits and he will emerge back on the circuit. He is 12th now. And now this is where everyone is when it comes to tire strategy. Only one soft tire compound is left on the circuit, and that is the third place driver of XRL, Dustin. Oh, he whips it around a little aggressively there as we are back underway now. So here's XRL Mon. He's going to try and start making more things happen once more. And something has happened to Retro. Retro has gone off the circuit when we went green. He is getting back underway now. Shoulder's going to catch him in a really, really awkward place. But Retro's going to end up plummeting through the order. Not a very good game for the Force India guys either. They did make it to Q1, but it seems like that seems to be the only good thing going on for them right now. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up in the field. Here is XRL Mon. Can he do something to Cargo going into the braking zone? He dives to the inside. And yes, it's going to be a nice and thorough move. Cargo's looking to fight back, though, on the outside. He's going to fight back, actually. But is it going to be enough? I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to put the power down. They're still neck and neck. Ferrari versus Mercedes engines down the straight. And on the outside, Mon is finally going to complete the overtake on Cargo. And XRL Snake has apparently left the session. Okay, that's interesting. So Mon has caught Snake. Missing the AI took over or something. But this is going to be one of the best chances that Mon will have to make something happen to that McLaren ahead of him. A little bit farther down the order. Retro is working on Shoal. He wants to see if he can make something happen and start making his way back up the field here. Mon is there. He's behind Snake as they enter the chicane in the third sector. Four cars all on top of each other. You can pretty much throw a blanket over them. And now as the DRS is going to open on the front straightaway, what's going to happen? Stumpy, second time penalty. So XRL Stumpy, who's currently 7th, is going to have to figure out some way to improve on that. XRL Iridisa on the medium tire compounds, 119.423. That's your best time yet, as XRL Mon is going to breeze by Snake in a DRS assisted overtake. Very well executed there. In fact, Cargo is now going to be in position to possibly make something happen to Snake. He is literally right under his rear wing. Gotta get a little bit of a gap opened up between them here. What can Cargo do to Snake here? Cargo needs to be careful because he still does have Stumpy right behind him. In fact, there goes Stumpy. Stumpy's going to make a move, and Stumpy goes going to loop it. Stumpy is going to loop it right in the middle of the circuit. He nearly gets hit by Iridisa. Careless going to get by, but Stumpy went for a hard move on Cargo and ended up being a little bit too much for that car to handle, and he looped at one of the slower sections of the track. He has now fallen to 10th, and it looks like Turbo might end up being able to overtake him shortly here. So things going very, very poorly there. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up in the grid, Mon has caught Huber and Mon. They're all both on medium tire compounds. In fact, everyone is running medium compound tires except for Cargo, Turbo, Shoal, and Zerba. They are all running the hard tires. And now Mon's got to pull right to the outside. He's going to try and make an overtake on the outside going into turn 1. And yes, he does with a DRS assist. Very well done. Okay, that was weird. A little bit farther back here, the game really wasn't going to pay attention to this battle between Retro and Stumpy, and then it takes me off of it. Wow, this is a very, very weird technical glitch. Every time I push my right directional stick back, I end up watching this battle. I don't know why, but I do. Meanwhile, XRL Mon has now gotten up to 3rd place. Flying Wallaby is the driver who's currently 2nd. He is the highest non-Mercedes engine at the moment, but he has fallen off massively off of your race leader, Sasha Andre. And Andre having no trouble here, going to go nice and smooth through the chicane. Everything in that Williams machine seems to be on rails in the best way possible. Meanwhile, Iridisa is still back there in 7th. He has caught Snake, he's basically caught Snake for several laps, but he's not been able to do anything with Snake yet. DRS opens up. Snake has no DRS, Iridisa does, but the straight's not going to be long enough. He's going to look to the outside. He's going to go. He's going to try and send it, and he does. He catches Snake out at the last minute with a perfect outside line pass. Excellent job by Iridisa. And now Iridisa can be moved up into the 6th position. A little bit ways up the track, you can see his next target, which is going to be Cargo. Meanwhile, here's this battle this game really likes you to pay attention to. Retro and Turbo for 11th and 12th. Retro gets right into that rear wing of Turbo there. Now all through this downhill section. Power down. What can Retro do to Turbo? Nothing at the moment. And Snake is apparently taken back control of his car. I think he's going to be very upset to see that the AI has lost him positions. DRS opens up for Retro, but the straight is not long enough for him to really capitalize on it. Gusty has gone ahead and made his stop about 2 laps ago. He has swapped to the medium tire compounds. Cookie also now has a 3-second time penalty, so it looks like it's going to be a classic XRL X3 race where we won't really know what the order is until after the race finishes because of the number of penalties that will be given out after the race ends. Down the front straightaway here. Again, Retro has DRS open, and here's a move by Gusty over Schold. Gusty has no problem making those medium tires work. He's going to breeze by Schold with a little bit of help from DRS. So Gusty, on his charge, back into the points main positions now. And the intervals have completely gone to crap. So yeah, I'm just going to happen then. This continues to be one of the more interesting battles that are on the track, although another one is forming here between Cargo and Huber. Both of them are on 9-lap 1 tires. These are the tires that they started on as donuts in 3-second time penalty. The difference, though, is that Huber is on medium and Cargo is on hard. Cargo is losing time the longer he's behind Huber, but he knows that the more time he spends putting pressure on Huber, the more and more likely Huber is going to have to eventually give that position to Cargo. As they're doing this, Vaughn, Balby, and Sasha are all opening up a nice little gap on each other. Here comes Iridisa, though. This is something that Cargo doesn't want to see. Iridisa has actually topped him, despite the fact that he actually made a stop earlier. So that Mercedes really pushing up the field here. Little 3-car battle here. Iridisa runs a little bit wide there, and that's actually going to earn a 3-second time penalty for running the car wide there. Another battle is forming here between 13th and 11th, Retro and Turbo, with Gusty right there. So Turbo continues to hold up Retro as Basilio now is the fastest lap time, 1:19.393 with the hard tire compound. So good job to him. I did not expect to see the fastest lap time day get set by the hards, but it's happened as Hazel now has a 3-second time penalty. Retro still trying desperately to make something happen to Turbo. And on to the back straightaway. They have the DRS open. Turbo does not. Now Turbo has the hard tire compounds. As long as he can play good defense, he will basically end up ahead of them because he has relatively clean racetrack ahead of him. But the moment one of these guys get by him, everyone's going to get by him. He will get freight trained. He needs to make sure that he runs one of the best defenses that he can. And even more importantly, he's got to help that his similar Ferrari badge engine, and Gusty is able to start making something happen with his Mercedes power that Retro is running. Oh, and something's gone wrong there. And that is Iridisa. Iridisa had topped to the Huber and Cargo battle, and he went wide there on Sector 1 going into Sector 2. He has now lost that battle for the moment, and something has happened to Cookie, I believe. Cookie has gone off the circuit, and he has wing damage. So that's another incident here on circuit. And now here comes something else as Retro is getting fought with Gusty. Gusty is on the outside. It's a very, very difficult section to make anything happen from way. They're still side by side. Iridisa gets another 3-second time penalty, apparently. Gusty is going to lose back out to Retro, but the gap was open there when Cookie made a mistake. Gusty went at it against Retro, and wow, look at that racing point of Hazel stepping in way wide there on the back straightaway. Oh, he almost hits Gusty in the rear end, pushing the car way too hard. And it's still a matter of, can anyone do anything to Turbo here at the moment? This is pretty much the big battle that's on the racetrack right now. As Turbo has basically formed a little truly train here from 10th to about 13th, with Scholl and 14th real rapidly closing in on them. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up in the field, Careless Jackson has caught Stumpy. Neither of these drivers have pitted yet. In fact, our top 4 still have yet to make their first stops. Cookie and Electrofurts have both gone ahead and made their stops. I believe Cookie was partially to make a switch out the wing after the front wing got damaged on his car. Look at this! This might be the move that Retro's trying to make happen. Turbo gets pushed wide, and now here comes the Haas, and the Haas is going to capitalize. And I saw a wing go off of someone's car there. I did not see who it was, but in the span of about 3 quarters, Turbo goes from 10th to 13th, no 12th, and now he's got Scholl there looking to see if he can make anything happen as well. The hard tire compounds were not hard enough to get by the drivers ahead. But with that said, Hazel will go ahead and make a stop. Here comes Scholl with the DRS assist on the inside. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is. He's got a lot of confidence in that car for the moment. That has pretty much broken up most of the battles that have happened around the circuit here. There is a potential for a battle here between our 2 current leaders of Cargo and Huber, as the driver who has led most of the race, Sasha Andre, has gone ahead and made his first pit stop. He has jumped from the medium tire compounds to hard tire compounds, so we'll probably run those hard to the end of the race here. And our top 3 have all caught each other, and now Cargo is going to inherit the lead as Hubert goes ahead and pits. Meanwhile, Stumpy is going to go ahead and pit, as does Careless Jackson. Here comes XRL Gusty. He is going to stay out. Retro will pit. This is Scholl. He's already made a stop. So a lot of drivers making their stops right now, trying to go for a one-stop strategy and reduce the amount of time you're spending on the racetrack here. A little bit farther back, Zilio is starting to open up a little bit of a gap on Dono here. Zilio on the hard tire compound, Dono on the mediums. But at the front, for the moment at least, it is all Cargo all the time for this lap. But he has Iridisa behind him. Iridisa was not yet led a lap, trying to make something happen. No, I think Iridisa led lap 1, actually. That would be incorrect for me. And look at who's behind him. Sasha Andre made his stop not too long ago. He has already moved back into the 3rd place position. So it seems very likely that Sasha Andre is going to walk off with the victory here. No one seems to have anything for him. But here we have Iridisa with something for Cargo. And down the straight, a nice little DRS-assisted overtake. No problems, and Iridisa goes to the top. Now Cargo will fall right in behind him. today. I don't know why. So our top three all on top of each other. But I imagine we might see Sasha Andre make something happen with Cargo relatively shortly here. He's very, very comfortable with his car around this circuit. A little bit farther back, XRL, Gazilio, and Schold are in their own little battle for 11th and 12th position, and Gazilio has lost it to Schold. Both of these all these drivers still outside of points-paying positions, though, and it's XRL Stumpy right now who would leave here with 10th, aka last place points. Meanwhile, back at the front, Sasha Andre right behind Cargo as Iridisa is starting to open up just a little bit of a gap on these two. DRS will be open for both of them. And here's Sasha. He's going to pull right underneath. Nice and smooth DRS overtake. Cargo wants to fight back, but is not confident or fast enough in that car to make it happen. So now the Williams and Sasha Andre goes back into second. And look at this here. Another trolley train has formed, with Schold being the leader of it. Now the crazy thing is, none of these spots are for position. I mean, none of these spots are for points, they're all just for position. They need to rely on somebody ahead of them, making a mistake or having something happen that will drop them down. And here we are, Jackson making something happen, and Jackson goes ahead of Zono, and Gazilio and Schold are in their own little battle up here. Here we are, they're still neck and neck, and the Renault goes nice and wide. Gazilio moves back into 11th. See what happened there, because the game insisted on giving me the worst camera angles, but something has happened to the two Renaults, and Hazel got caught up in that all. So Schold and Carlos Jackson fall to 13th and 14th respectively, and Retro's gonna move up to 12th. But that was a mess, to say the least. Now his teammate Hazel will go ahead and make his pit stop. So the damage that Hazel took from that incident was definitely enough to require him to pit again. Carlos Jackson's going to get back ahead of his teammate Schold. Meanwhile, at the front, Sasha Andre has caught Iridisa. A little bit aggressive on the chicane. Down the straightaway, DRS is open. Will this be enough for Sasha to overtake Iridisa? And there's a yellow flag in Sector 3. For whatever reason, Gusty has gone around! And just as we saw, Gusty went off the circuit, and as we got back to him, he was underway and then went around again. I think he may have cooked those rear tires. Stay out on the circuit for a little bit longer, but something has happened to Carlos Jackson. He's also spun around now, and he now starts plummeting and losing positions as well. The car seems to be stuck in this grass area. He's having trouble getting it back on the racing circuit, and yes, he will get back on the racing circuit now as Cookie and Fratters are coming up to him. Cookie will make a nice clean overtake as Jackson has basically no momentum to start this lap out with. Fratters might even be in a position to make something happen at the very end of the straightaway. Yes, he will. So Carlos Jackson plummets all the way down to 17th. that is XRL Iridisa, who's gone ahead and he is pitted. He's swapping onto the medium tire compounds, and as expected, that is what he will run for the rest of today's event here. As Turbo and Snake are back at it again. Renault-powered McLaren versus the Ferrari Scuderia. Careless Jackson's gotten a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. So a day that was okay for the Renault team is starting to go very, very sour. Neither of their drivers even close to gain into the points paying positions. It's also been a relatively clean race. We've only had one safety car incident. That was when XRL Whitney totaled his car. And of the 20 cars that start today's race, 19 of them are still on the racetrack. Meanwhile, it's a little bit farther back. Here comes Fratters, and with the DRS assist, the AlphaTauri will move ahead of the Ferrari. So congratulations to Fratters for moving his car from the 15th position. Now Cookie is going to try and fight back with him here. Now a little bit behind them is Careless Jackson trying to make something happen. He has a 5-second penalty. He needs to outrun now. And the first step to that would be getting ahead of them. And XRL Dono now gets a... And that car is destroyed on the inside. I don't know what happened there. But the car's front wing seems to be completely destroyed, and the car is just damaged and sitting there on the inside of the field. The rear end of that car seems to be completely ruined as well. So Dono will be our second round, our second yellow flag of the day. Is another virtual safety car. And Hazel is actually both caught up to the battle between 14th and 16th. So it looks like we may have a potential 5-way scramble going on for the 14th place position. Right now, it seems like all the top 10 spots are relatively well protected. And we're back under green here, but it seems like everyone in the top spots have nice, clean green racetrack amongst them. So it looks like all the battles right now are happening outside of the points-paying positions. And here comes Careless Jackson. He's on the inside of Cookie. He's going to pull out of it at the last minute. As Electric Fritz and Hazel are in their own little spat. Gussie, another 3-second time penalty. Look at this. Hazel really trying to make something happen. He sees that Retro is in the points-paying position. He also wants there. He's going to have a long way to make things happen. Not a lot of time to do it. It's just about 12 laps to the end of this race. DRS open for a lot of those cars on the straight, but it's just not long enough on the back straightaway for them to be able to capitalize on it all. Ooh, and Careless Jackson gets a little bit careless, I guess, and the rear of the car gets really lazy and pushes it wide. He's going to fall back with Cookie just a little bit. As Cookie seems to be losing Fratters himself. It'll be interesting to see if they will have enough to get DRS open down the straightaway, and I do not think they will. So that little battle has all gone astray, as Hazel has actually slid off the circuit. Now he is back underway, but he has lost all that time. He is no longer fighting with Fritz. And it seems like with that, most of the battles on the circuit have evaporated, with the exception of this one here between Retro and Stumpy. And here he comes. Why are you doing that? Stumpy to the outside, to round the outside of Retro. So Stumpy is going to move up to 9th in the points-paying positions. And there is another battle forming here between Schold and Gusty, and it looks like Schold tried to make a move on Gusty, and Gusty was not able to make something happen. And another time penalty to Careless Jackson. The race is going very poorly for him. And here's the thing with Schold. Schold is on tires that he has run almost the entire race with. He's going to have to pit at some point. Those hards have 21 laps on them, and as I say that, he's going to come in and pit now. Best option is probably going to be to jump onto either the softs or the mediums, Try to put down nice fast laps here. And here comes Fratters. He will come around. Oh, wow! Cookie really wide and actually touches the grass back there. Nearly spins the car out, but good car control on his part. Here's Hazel, who will now move back up into 17th after he overtakes Scholl to show his exit in the pit lane. But you can see how dominant this day has been for Sasha Andre, as he is now at the point where he is putting cars a lap down at the back of the field. Without too much issue, Electric Fritz will be the next person on his radar. He needs to be very careful through here, because if he messes up, if something goes wrong, it would not be hard for that car to end up getting damaged if he pushes too hard. He gets a nice, careful, and consistent going through here. Meanwhile, the battle for 13th through 15th, Careless Jackson keeps catching this driver here, XRL Cookie, and then losing him right afterwards. And Jackson is really struggling to try and make something happen with Fratters. He had a nice corner exit that time. And he has DRS open, but it's not going to be enough for him. And WCD Huber, who is 6, gets 3-second time penalty as well. But here we are. This is the closest Cookie has been to Fratters for about 2 laps now. A little bit farther up, Stumpy is actually trying to close in on Retro here. For the 9th position, there's only about 1.5 seconds between them. The main battle still seems to be this little trio here, Jackson, Cookie, and Fratters. Ooh, Jackson. Bit aggressive there. Jackson keeps catching Cookie. So Jackson has like this great pace when he's by himself, and then the moment he gets into the aerodynamic weight from one of the cars ahead of him, it completely upsets him. He's not able to do anything. And here comes Cookie to the inside of Fratters, and they're going to be side by side here through these first several corners, and Fratters will go run off circuit, and that will give the position to Cookie. So Cookie moves up into the 13th position. But neither of the Scuderia Ferrari cars are in points-paying positions yet. And now Careless Jackson is under threat from Electric Fritz, and Fritz has extra reason to try and push hard on Jackson because the car behind Fritz isn't fighting for position. That's the leader looking to set him a lap down. And XRL Zilio is out of 8th position now. He was going to get off of those hard compounds. I imagine his best option will be a jump onto the softs like Hazel did earlier. And yes, he is jumping onto the soft tire compounds. As Electric Fritz runs a little wide trying to run down Jackson here. So here's an interesting thing. Scholl has actually held up Flying Wallaby at Mons just enough that Flying Wallaby has been caught by XRL Mon. They're both on almost the exact same tire. Wallaby's tires are just 1 lap over, but they're both hards that are intended to make it to the end of the race. So we may have a good fight going on for a second here as XRL Cookie and Fratters continue their DRS overtakes on each other down the front straightaway as Fratters is now back ahead of Cookie for the moment. This is one of the 2 battles that are really worth paying attention to on the circuit. This one, and then one for 2nd and 3rd. We also have Careless Jackson and Electra Fritz, and they're both trying to stay ahead of our leader, Sasha Andre. But Meanwhile, XRL Mod, he's there behind Flying Wallaby. Is he going to be in a position to make something happen? He is relatively close, and if he stay this close, he might be able to use the DRS overtake on the straight. Ratters still ahead of Cookie for the moment. Two of them have just a little bit of a gap over Sasha. Sasha Andre has overtaken Fritz and Jackson behind him. And it looks like Fratters ended up making a mistake, and Fratters is going to fall right off the back of the field. He's going to try and fight back, I imagine, if he can, but he lost a significant amount of time. And yes, he will end up... Come on. And here we are. Careless Jackson is trying to make something happen with Electra Fritz farther back. And now Fratters and Cookie both pulled over to enable Sasha Andre to get by. So Desilio is the next driver who runs the risk of going a lap down, but the gap between him and Sasha is pretty significant, and Desilio is already pitted for his final set of tires. I think as long as he doesn't make a mistake, he'll be fine. Desilio looks to the outside of Gusty, and around the outside, he's going to be able to make it stick. Well, to move Desilio up to the 11th position, will he be able to run down XRL Turbo and overtake him before the end of the race? If he does, he'll be able to earn some points for the Red Bull team. It's going to be Red Bull versus Ferrari for the last points paying position on the racetrack by the looks of it. Mon is right underneath Flying Wallaby, and he is pushing that car hard, trying to make something happen, and they're right here in the midst of all this lap traffic. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that is going to be for Stumpy, who has looped it all by himself, and that's for the 9th position. So he's going to spin and fall to 10th, and if he doesn't get back underway soon, he might lose the position of Desilio. He actually has front wing damage, and here comes Desilio. Stumpy may have just lost his chance at getting points. Desilio's getting really, really aggressive, trying to make something happen, and he's going to nearly run that Red Bull off the circuit. That Red Bull might want to pull out. That car's going to make that corner. He does, but with a little bit of contact, and now he goes into the dirt. Stumpy is going to fall out of the points main positions, and he may have to pit to repair the damage to that wing, as Gusty also is going to overtake him now, and he's going to have to worry potentially about the leader very shortly here. A little bit further back, Fratters has gone off the circuit. He has mirrored back on, but he has lost the spot to Careless Jackson. Meanwhile, Flying Wallaby has lost his spot to XRL Mom. We're focusing on that. I apologize for that. Desilio has overtaken Turbo for the 9th position using the DRS assist. Stumpy is actually going to get penalized for speeding in pit lane, so the day is going from bad to worse for Stumpy all of a sudden, as he is going to pit, and that will almost guarantee put him a lap down. And now Retro gets a time penalty as well, despite the fact that he's right here all by himself on the racetrack. Here we are. Careless Jackson has actually slipped up to 14th because of Stumpy having to pit. And he's setting his sights on Jackson once more. The gap between second and third is starting to open up. Mon is starting to walk away from Flying Wallaby just a little bit, because Wallaby, well, he was walking away, but they were being pulled up by lap traffic. But the car ahead of them is going to be the last of the lap traffic. That will be XRL Cookie, who is pulling over. He's going to let one of the cars by. It will be Mon, and he will let Wallaby by also. So he will not play a factor. It is now clean racetrack ahead of these two. Meanwhile, much farther back in the field, XRL Iridisa, who had a relatively good qualifying run. It's just things haven't gone out quite well for him. He's had great pace, but fourth is not really representative of where he should be honestly he should probably be fighting for the podium positions with Mon and Wallaby. It's just not worked out for him at all. Here we are, the battle between Careless Jackson and Electra Fritz continues. Oh, and that's Stumpy! Stumpy has destroyed his car! You saw it for just a brief second, folks, but Stumpy's day has gone from bad to worse. He will be the third driver to drop out of today's race. Hazel will end up overtaking him eventually. You can see that car off circuit right there. So Stumpy is now out of the race. Only 17 cars left on the circuit. But that will not be a yellow flag here. With 2 laps to go now as our leader has crossed the start-finish line for the second to last time. Not second last, third to last time today. And XRL Cookie is having to pit for damage. So that's going to drop him down quite a bit. And now here comes Electra Fritz. He's going to make a DRS assist pass over Careless Jackson. Jackson's going to fight back on the outside. Can he make it stick? No, he's not. He's going to fall back in line behind Fratters. These two have really been slugging it out with each other in the final half of this race. It's honestly been one of the more impressive battles today that we've seen. A little bit farther back, Gusty is starting to run down XRL Turbo. We may have a fight still for that last points-paying position. The Scuderia Ferrari team desperately trying to take away at least one driver's point at the end of this race. We are now going to start the final lap very shortly here. There's Sasha Andre. He is your leader. He got the Q2 a little bit iffy for him, but he made it into Q3 without too much issue. And then Q3, as the track dried out, he went out there and dominated in qualifying. And this race has been pretty much his. The only time he's really been contested at any point was in the first lap, where the pole position gets the outside starting spot, which meant the second place qualifier was able to fight directly with him for a little bit. But he got back by him, and Sasha Andre pulling off a masterclass race today here for actually a relatively clean race. Only 3 incidents on track for accidents that have really damaged other cars. Now we have seen other drivers spin and loop their cars around them. Plenty of front wing changes, but it's not nearly been as chaotic as we often see here. Here's the battle. This is it. This is for the 10th position. And Sasha Andre is going to be coming down very shortly here to end the race. This is going to be really interesting. Will Turbo be able to stay ahead of Gusty? We still have another lap to go here, and Gusty has the DRS assist going down the straightaway. The Ferrari is still ahead. That's weird. But Sasha Andre has won with Flying Wallaby second, Mon third. Iridisa is coming down. It looks like he will take the 4th position without too much concern. Cargo coming down. He will hold on to 5th as Electra Fritz is going to stay ahead of Jackson, but Jackson gets by Fratters at the last second. Here's WCD Huber. Very, very, very respectful day. 6th is a little bit lower than where he could have been, but very good time by him. Snake all by himself. He's going to come home at 7th by the looks of it. Retro at 8th. 9th is going to be Basilio, so at least one of the Red Bulls will have a good day. But this is the fight to really watch here. It's Turbo versus Gusty for the last points-paying position. Both of these cars rank Ferrari power. Gets right under that rear wing in the chicanes. The Ferrari steps a little bit wide. The Haas follows him. I don't think it's going to happen, so Turbo will come down and bring home 1 point for the Scuderia Ferrari. Congratulations to him, with Turbo making a masterclass, reining him down. With Turbo making a good defense, holding on to 10th in the end of the day here. And Desilio is actually being awarded driver of the day, the game. Okay, I can see that. But very, very, very clean and green race route. We only had 2 yellow flags, both of them just virtual safety cars that were very short. We got back under racing conditions very quickly. So thumbs up to everyone on keeping a relatively clean and green race. And there's Sasha Andre on the podium. 2 Mercedes and a Ferrari engine up front. So even if the main Ferrari team did not do very well, they definitely were represented up near the front with a Haas also earning 6th place points positions. But there is your final lineup. A lot of penalties afterwards, but because of the gaps that formed, it didn't really change the end result of the race too much. But congratulations to Sasha Andre. We're going to try and invite him in. I want to see what he has to say about that masterclass of a race he put down today. Alright, in the booth with us we have Sasha Andre, who went ahead and took a victory. Sasha, go ahead, include your audio. What do you have to say about such a dominant run today? Absolutely impressive, stunning job. You pretty much were in the zip code all on your own all day today. The only time you didn't seem to be leading was the first lap and then under pits. But I do want you to take us back to qualifying under those really, really chaotic conditions. What were the plans that you put in place to get yourself that pole during qualifying? Alright, well you heard it here from him, folks. Sasha Andre with a very, very strong run from the start of qualifying to the end of the race today. Congratulations on a very strong victory, bringing home the hardware for the team, and willing to jump into the booth with us as well. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for our broadcast today, folks. A relatively clean race compared to what we've seen the last few times with X3, but the big things to take into effect, 3 main points I'd take away from this race. The first one would be tire compounds. Softs were not ideal at any point outside qualifying. It was the hard tire compounds that really shone today. The second one, time gaps. There was not very many circumstances where drivers ended up losing positions because the gaps in time and on the track got so wide. Even the penalties afterwards didn't really change the way the race turned out at the end. I say the fact that everyone by the end of the race, because the clean green strategy ended up on their own, it really changed how everything went. And then the final thing was qualifying. Qualifying, without a doubt, set the tone for the entire race. And with the way that some drivers were able to adapt to Q2 and the way some drivers were not, it really, really upset things. The biggest change, I think, and the biggest example of that is XRL Whippy, who was not able to even set a single lap time down in Q2 because it was so chaotic. It ended up costing him a chance to even finish the race in the end. But that's it. Those are the 3 main points I take away from today. The qualifying, the gaps because we had a clean racetrack for so long, and the hard tire compounds. But that's going to wrap us up here. It's going to be actually a relatively short broadcast. Normally these broadcasts go for a better part of 2.5 hours, and it looks like we're going to wrap up with about 2 hours on the clock. So once again, I want to give a big, big thanks to the XRL guys for letting me do the broadcasting. I will do more broadcasting very shortly with these guys for the X2 race shortly. But until then, I've been SaintLayer13, and I do want to say thank you very much for coming in and watching with us, and I hope to see you guys again later today for the X2 event, and if not for that, then next week, well not next week, but 2 weeks from now, when the series goes to Monaco.